Yo, what's up with y'all, man? I hope you're doing good. If you're new and you're a fan of the NBA, subscribe to this channel. So let's get straight into it.
Like it's Minute Maid, hijack 4, renegade, 24, number 8, Kobe shit fade away, ballin' since 11th grade, still in school, let him hate.
So, becoming a highly touted prospect coming out of high school can be a very frustrating process. Because, why do I look so dark? Hold on. Now we are talking. Anyways, my bad. Because there are so many variables that come into play. Location, you have to be in a popular, well-known basketball high school that has some history behind it. Over the past few years, this element has gained more and more importance, partly due to the growth of social media, the place where the hype surrounded around players are birthed. The hype is also an important factor too. And so is, puberty, your physical traits. Hitting your growth spurt by your senior year attracts bigger colleges a lot faster, and there will be no need to hunt for scholarships because college coaches like whores will be throwing themselves at you. You see, guys like Ben Simmons, D'Angelo Russell, Lonzo Ball, and even RJ Barrett, they've had all of these luxuries. Their game back in high school was A1, and they also put themselves in a position, or at least had someone else put them in the spotlight. So all of those things are very important factors to take into consideration when it comes to high school players looking to make it into a D1 college. But as I said earlier, man, having those physical traits already by the time you're a 12th grader helps a lot more. Those guys that I listed, Ben Simmons, RJ Barrett, Lonzo, D'Lo, they already hit their growth spurt, and they hit it in the most opportune time. As we all know though, we all go through these growth spurts at different times of our lives. Some go through their growth spurt in the middle of 10th, 11th grade, and others, like myself, go through one after high school. And those people are called late bloomers. And sadly, that is the reason why players like Derrick did not receive any attention. Even though Derrick was putting up numbers, just like all the other highly touted prospects, they still did not show him any love. Why? For one, he didn't see much growth from his body when he was a senior in high school. Compared to the rest of his competition, he stood at 6 feet tall while only weighing 150 pounds. Regardless of the numbers he put up while leading his high school to massive success, D1 coaches continued to hand out scholarships here and there, and it seemed like anyone could get one but him. There was nothing Derrick could do really at all, so he just sat back and watched his father grind. His father was trying to help him gain more attention and at least land one scholarship. His dad sent out all the footage he could of his son putting in work, grinding, proving that he deserved just as much of an opportunity as anyone else. But he got no looks and consistently rejected. Now, to be honest, just by looking at pictures of Derrick White from high school when he was a senior, I don't blame the coaches for rejecting that dude either. I mean, like, bro, just look at him and you tell me what you would do. He looks pretty weak and he looks really uncoordinated. D1 coaches would probably be heavily questioned if they handed out a scholarship to someone who looked like this. I'm sorry, I know this is supposed to be a motivational video and stuff like that, but I mean, I just gotta keep it real. So at the time, if I was a D1 coach too, I'm not letting nobody like that in my school for the free. Hell no. That constant rejection though is what drove him to be even greater than anyone possibly would have thought he could be. He was always told that he was too short and also too weak, and a lot of scouts believe that if anything, he'll be a liability on the court. Having to hear people give you the same BS excuse without even actually taking the time out of their day to dissect your game is just debilitating, and it not only tore up his heart, but it also tore up his father's too. The man who's witnessed his hard work and had to deal with complaints from his neighborhood community about his son staying up too late, playing basketball late night outside in the cul-de-sac, while everyone else in their houses was asleep. He nor his father stopped working at their end goal. Derrick's dad eventually gave up on the D1 school dream though, and looked at the second best option, Division II schools. Specifically Division II schools who needed more point guard play. But even then, those D2 schools rejected his son. Derrick's father said, and I quote, "We were told that he didn't have the skills, didn't have the body type, and didn't check any of the boxes to be a D2 student athlete." Bro, at this point, Division II schools are over here rejecting this man, basically telling him that he's not nothing. But out of the blue, a really random culinary art school, a cooking school, hits him up, and they were looking to offer him a scholarship. Now at first glance, this would seem quite puzzling, because bro, like, what does a school about cooking have to do with an inspiring NBA player? But that puzzling offer came behind a man named Jeff Culver. Little did Derrick know, Jeff would be the saving grace of Derrick White's unbirthed basketball career. Jeff's first time watching Derrick was at some tournament during Thanksgiving, and at that moment right there, Jeff made up his mind, and a miracle was soon to come into Derrick's life. He got a chance to prevail from all of the limitations that were placed on him. That same coach who tried to recruit him to the culinary art school landed another coaching job at the University of Colorado Springs, but that wasn't an important thing at all to Derrick at the time. The opportunity was more than enough. Without that coach seeing something in him that would attract him his way, Derrick probably wouldn't be in the NBA as we speak right now, or at least not in this timely manner. It was obvious that Derrick didn't have any type of size or athleticism, but he sure as hell had the intangibles. The competitiveness and the tenacity of his game is what drew him in. Things like that cannot be taught. Thankfully though, about a year later, when that time came for him to show out and impress the coach who took a chance on, his growth spurt hit, and he walked into the practice facility standing at 6'5", while simultaneously still having that same fight in him since he was a 6-foot twig. Ever since that moment happened, things just ended up taking off for him. After staying at that school for a couple of years and putting up insane numbers, he gave D1 coaches throughout the country no choice but to pay attention to him. It was more than clear that he was way too talented for D2 competition, and in order to dramatically increase his NBA draft stock, he'd have to make a move. And he did, and eventually he decided to transfer to the University of Colorado. Now he had to redshirt for a year due to some BS NCAA rule, but he'd come back after his second year attending that school, putting on a complete show and making history, averaging 18, 4, and 4, along with a block and steal per game. The only other guards to do that in college history was Markelle Fulton, Dwayne Wade. Derrick's hard work should be attributed to the belief that he had in himself. Hitting curved left and right everywhere he looked did not stop him from focusing on his main goal. Now his journey to the NBA wasn't a sweet Cinderella type story like every other top prospect. It was quite low-key, and coincidentally enough, he ended up getting drafted to one of the most low-key franchises in the NBA, the San Antonio Spurs. Now in his rookie year, he did not play that much at all because the San Antonio Spurs are focused on developing his game. They'd rather do that than just throwing him straight into the fire. And they stored him in the G League until the time was right, and that paid off because right now he's making every single coach, D1 coach, D2 coach, everyone who doubted him and said he was too small and all this other stuff, bow down to him right now. They are witnessing him feasting and beasting in the big leagues at the biggest stages of the year. While all of this pressure is on his shoulders, pressure for him though is almost non-existent. He's been through pressure for years on years now. Back in those high school days when he was frantic searching for a D1 college. But now it's nothing to him, and you can see that in his game as well. Derrick is not only proving that he should have been a D1 player from the jump, but also he's showing that he should have been a lottery pick in the 2017 NBA draft as well. He is miles better than Markelle Fultz and Lonzo Ball already, and there's a great chance that he ends up being better than the two by the end of his career. The Spurs just seem to pump these dudes up every single year. The same season, Manu Ginobili and Tony Parker decide to dip, a new light appears. Now Derrick's numbers this year aren't outstanding at all, but I believe that's only because of an injury that he suffered earlier this year that threw him off the course. He's over here fully displaying and more than making up for that in the playoffs this year so far. He plays with great energy on defense, and he's been rushing Denver's guards. He's been doing that all at once while running the Spurs offense in a patient, timely manner. This dude right here has no real weaknesses in his game at all. And he's given us all a huge indication that he is probably going to be in for a breakout year next season. This is the end of the video, man. I really do appreciate you for taking time out of your marvelous day to come over here on my channel and to see what I have to talk about today. Make sure you leave a like, subscribe, comment, and also share this video with all your other friends. But like I said, man, I appreciate you for watching. But until then, I'll get right with you. No way, no way. When I couldn't get a play,
shirt, free the way, yeah, yeah, yeah. Told my girl who'd ever